Welcome back to Dear Rochester, Retire Well. Here's your host, Dave Paulsini, CFP.
All right, folks, welcome back to Dear Rochester, Retire Well. We are in a new studio today. We're renting one until we finish our space, right? So we're here with Brian Chapman from Chapman Insurance Agency. What's the name, official name?
JD Chapman Agency.
JD Chapman Agency. I knew that. I'm a Palmyra guy. How are you today, Brian?
Good. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah. All right, let's start right away. How long have you been doing this?
So I've been in this industry for 4 years.
4 years.
Yep.
What is the scariest insurance thing that you've seen?
I love it. The scariest insurance thing that
for the person. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that I've seen was there was a restaurant that we had insured, pretty well-known restaurant in kind of the Canandaigua area. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I wasn't personally involved in this, but I do remember this vividly because I was a kid. And so my dad would always get insurance calls in the middle of the night sometimes with people saying, hey, I got this thing happening or so on. Yeah. And so he got a call from the owner of this restaurant and he said, hey, my restaurant's completely up in flames. I mean, I think this is going to be kind of a total loss thing. So I drove in the car with my dad down there and sat and watched this guy's whole restaurant, probably his whole life, poured into this thing, just go up in flames.
Did he call the fire department first or did he call your dad?
We're not firefighters, so I definitely called the right people first. Yeah. But no, I think, it's just kind of the service we offer, right? They were good friends. So he called him to give him a heads up. My dad's like, hey, let's go down there and let's, ease his woes a little bit and just kind of be with him during that time. So, it's crazy.
Like total loss of everything.
Oh, yeah. Completely to the ground. Fryer was left on overnight on accident. Temperature sensor monitor didn't work. Mm-hmm. One small little thing like that, and your whole, blood, sweat, and tears that went into that business just up in flames.
So what happens to that business owner? Like they are now out of cash flow. They make an insurance claim. Like, how does that actually work?
Yeah, so the way that works with insurance is we basically, turn in the claim to the insurance provider and we'll take them through the process. So he'll have, if you own the building, he'll be able to recuperate the money that he spent either to renovate the building or if they own the building itself. Uh-huh. There's also something in insurance called business interruption or business income and extra expense.
Okay.
So if you purchase that coverage, basically what it does is it gives you the ability to recoup that income that you're losing during the time that you're down, or maybe you need to spend a little bit of money to go get a shipping container to store some things, or maybe you need to go lease a spot so that you can keep your restaurant open. So business income and extra expense, those types of things would kind of kick in. All of the property that he has in there that he owned, so the fryers, tables, chairs, point of sale systems, all that type of stuff is covered under insurance. Yeah. He had the right plan in place, so thank goodness it worked out well for him.
It's nice to have your dad as a friend, I guess, in that case. With what about the employees? Do they still get paid? Are they in trouble? Yeah.
That's actually a really good question, Dave. To be honest with you, wouldn't know the answer to that. Yeah. I mean, if somebody was injured, it's like a workers' comp type of a claim, but to like recoup your payroll and stuff, I don't know, man. You're asking the good questions.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of my own place burning down and what would I do? So I still have to pay the people, right?
Right. Yep.
So you mentioned your dad call middle of the night when you were a kid. Did he start your insurance agency?
No, actually my grandfather started in 1958 out of his home on Victor Road. Yeah. And the story goes that, he bought a book of business from this guy, Henry Kemp, that was in Palmyra. He insured a bunch of like the farms in the area and he was looking to retire. My grandfather was a Marine, then he was a phys ed teacher, and he came back home to Palmyra and was looking for something, to do a little extra income. So bought that book of business from him, started it out of his house. He would have the farmers come over. The story goes that my dad would eat the snow off of the farmers' boots and it would make him sick. So they were like, okay, we are growing here. We need to expand into like a different, area. And so that kind of was the catalyst
I love
doing
Palmyra.
that. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then they moved down into Main Street, Macedon. Mm-hmm. And then my uncle joined in the 70s. My father joined in 1990, my cousin in 2001, and then myself 4 years ago.
Wow. All right. So you're third generation.
Yeah, my cousin and I. Yes.
Don't screw this up, guys.
That's the statistic, right? Right? The third generation's the one that takes it and blows it.
Don't you dare ruin this for your grandpa, man. I love it. So you guys, I was going to ask you how business is going. We don't have to answer that. When you guys are now looking for clients, who's like your ideal, who's the best fit for what you guys do, and Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the ideal client for us is, we certainly do both personal and commercial side of the business. The commercial side of the business is really what we focus on. Yeah. And to be honest with you, somebody that has a couple years of experience that maybe hasn't looked at their insurance policies in a while, we really have a good niche in restaurants, automobile services, so repair, paint shops, those types of things. And then we do really good with your mom and pop, Main Street type businesses as well. So somebody that either has a couple years of experience, a new business owner is always a good one as well, because we can make sure that they get set up on the right policy. But we do have the ability to, and we certainly like to, we handle some school districts and some larger, higher end type clients, so to speak. But we really run the full gamut. But somebody that is got some years of experience under them and actually not enjoys talking about insurance, but cares about the policy that they have, because nobody likes to talk about insurance.
They wouldn't be an ideal client if they enjoy talking about insurance.
Right.
What's you mentioned that somebody hasn't reviewed it in a couple, like how often should someone review their insurance policy?
So we try to have an annual review with all of our clients. I think you should review your policy on an annual basis, just because there's a lot of factors that go into it. The bigger, more complicated of a business that you have, the more complicated the insurance becomes. So it's always good to have that yearly review, if not probably 6 months in.
Okay. Yeah. Or any big changes, right?
Yeah, anytime you have big changes, so you add employees, you go into a new sector, you add vehicles, even on the personal side, if you like redo your kitchen, you install a pool, any like high-end type renovations that you do, add a pole barn, those are all things that you should call your insurance agent on.
Does anybody do that?
the ones that know, like, hey, like I have some risk here, yeah, they'll call. Yeah. But life's busy, so not everyone's like, oh, I got to call my insurance agent on this. Yeah. So that's where we come in. We try to be like, on your yearly review, what's new.
Do you have any insurance on your payroll that just follow the pool delivery guys around?
Now there's an idea.
There you go. Yeah. We're going to have a huge business by the end of this with 74 more employees. Then you'll have to review your own insurance policy.
There you go.
What's when you say school districts, I've done a lot of work at school districts with retirement and pension stuff and all of that. What are you guys actually doing for a school district? I'm just curious.
No, that's a good question. So the insurance for a school district ranges from everything from just like your typical general liability, your property for the buildings. A lot of them have like either some type of a board. So there's directors and officers types of insurance, errors and omissions. The biggest thing now with schools is like having a sexual abuse and molestation type policy, or something called employment practices liability. So if somebody feels like they've been unfairly maybe passed over for a promotion, or that they have some type of qualm with the school district, those are the types of policies that we'll have in place for that type of a risk.
Yeah, I mean, school districts in general are typically frugal. So I'm always wondering, like, how often are they reviewing? What are they looking for? There's consortium stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure. And actually, one of the more popular things that's happening now with school districts is having the right cyber policy in place. So I'm sure if you follow the news, all the cyber attacks that have happened to like hospitals and stuff like that, school districts are a target for that, right? There's a lot of personal information in there on students and so on. It happened to a local school district here not that long ago, locked up their whole system, weren't able to go to school. So cyber policies for school districts are becoming real popular.
Wow. Okay, so we could put this on or we could edit this out, right?
Sure, yeah.
If you could talk to like your ideal client business owner right now, you go to them and they're like, nah, man, I'm not interested. I'm good. We're all set. If you could say anything to those people, what would you say?
On the one thing I would tell somebody that hasn't, like my ideal client, the one thing that I would tell them is, how friendly are you with your insurance agent? Is it somebody that you can call? Do they review it with you every year? Because a lot of the policies are probably the right policy, but it makes a world of difference having the right agent, somebody that you can call, somebody that reviews it, somebody that's looking out for you. I think all too often people write an insurance policy and then the agent just kind of sits back on it and waits for it to renew every year without any type of follow-up. And then when there is an issue, you didn't talk to your insurance agent in 2-3 years and, hopefully everything goes well. But to have somebody guide you through that process that you know and trust, that's always my biggest question is, do you know and trust your insurance agent?
Yeah, well, and listen, in our world, sometimes that backfires too. Yeah. You have a buddy that's doing it or an uncle that's my financial advisor. And it's like, well, they're not actually doing anything for you because they probably know you're not going to leave them.
Yeah.
So how do you get someone to leave a family member or a close friend?
That's a
Even
great
if it's
question.
best for them. I haven't figured that out, by the way.
I have not figured that out either. And honestly, this whole thing, and probably a lot of like what you do, it's a relationship business, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking to people, and people buy from people that they like to work with.
Yeah.
I won't be over aggressive. That's just not my style. Yeah. But I'll tell them, hey, look, the door's always open on the off chance that maybe they do have a claim and their uncle or brother, whoever does their insurance, it doesn't really go that well. Now you got to see that person at a family dinner all the time, or you see them in your circles and now it becomes awkward. If you ever wanted to just remove that, we're here for you on that end.
I know, but listen, for us too, it's like now if I fire my financial advisor, that's my uncle, and then I see him at the family party, that might be even more awkward.
Yeah.
Hey, favorite uncle, you're fired.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a conversation. So I always leave the door open. Look, I'm here for you if you ever want a second set of eyes or what have you.
Those are tough. Do you guys have a lot of like, on the other side of it, new folks that get into your business, set up a bunch of policies and then leave?
Yeah, there's a lot of the like what you would consider a captive agent. So, and I don't want to disparage anybody, but like Allstates and Farmers, the big captives, the Gecko Geico guy, those types of things. Those are what I consider like churn and burn type shops. So they'll get a young producer or somebody in there, and it's just how many policies can you sell? There's really not a whole lot of service behind it, but yeah, that happens a lot. Or what you might see in our industry too is somebody that has worked really hard to build a book of business, and then it becomes stagnant. They just sit on it, collect the renewals on it. Yeah. And unfortunately the customer might suffer because the customer service end of it's not there anymore. They're just kind of collecting on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think sometimes people, because obviously I'm not in your business, and I'll ask you this, I know the answer. Is it more expensive to have a yearly review with my insurance person?
It costs you $0 to have an insurance review yearly. Yeah, I mean, there's no charge to have any type of review. It's just a quick phone call or even an email just to say, hey, look, this is what I've got going on.
That's so easy, man.
It's free.
That's so easy. Just send an email. So let me ask you this. Is it on the client to reach out to you guys, or do you guys proactively reach out to them?
We try to, as best we can, proactively reach out.
I get it. Yeah.
But, ultimately, the onus is on the insured, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of responsible for your own stuff.
Yeah.
So, we always tell people, or I try to when I write a policy, hey, if you do any of these things, make sure you call us so that we can update your policy.
Yeah, we try to, and the guys in our office know this, and the folks that work with us, like we have a communication calendar. There's all these catalyst events that if something happens, so we're consistently trying to be in front of folks. But what we always say is if we don't hear from you about anything, that's fine. You don't have to respond to our 9,000 emails a year or our videos or whatever. Or we try to get them subscribed to the podcast or our videos or our YouTube, whatever it is. But if they don't respond to any of that stuff, they know at least once a year for some people, twice a year for others, and in our world, maybe 3 or 4 times per year for other folks, they will hear from us proactively.
Yep.
So it's a system that is built, and they know that they're going to hear from us. Even with that, in financial planning, if we're managing millions of dollars for folks, sometimes they still don't respond.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, if nothing has changed for an insurance, it must be really hard to get people to actually pay attention. But I would think a yearly email. If I got a yearly email from my insurance person, and by the way, folks, to be clear, I don't work with Brian yet. We'll talk about this later. But like if I got a yearly insurance email just saying, hey, has there been any updates? That'd be extremely helpful. And it takes like 5 minutes, right? Like
we have a program that we use that sends out emails, and that's one of the things that we implemented when we got that program was, hey, we need to send out like a yearly just check-in. What we do is like 30 days before your policy renews, hey, homeowners policies come and due, auto insurance policies come and due. Have you experienced any of these life changes? Give us a call. We'll get everything updated, but you're working with people, so,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, you know this. The give us a call is a deterrent.
Oh, yeah.
Can I text or email you? Like that's a lot of people just want it to be even more easy. I don't even want to talk to anybody anymore.
Right. Yeah, no, that's the kind of the way that things are going. And when we did that email, we actually got a bunch of response, people saying, well, I redid my kitchen, or forgot to call you, added my 16-year-old son on as a driver. So it actually worked out well. But you're right. I think the day of like picking up the phone and calling, it seems like it takes so much longer. If you could just rifle a text or an email, it seems to be the best way to go.
Or do that to schedule a time.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of like, just shoot me an email, we'll schedule a time to talk rather than out of the blue phone calls from hundreds of people.
Totally. So. Yeah, right. Yeah, because there's a lot that you and I deal with, right? I mean, that could be a whole nother podcast.
Oh, totally. It's 10:20 in the morning as of this recording. I'm sitting here looking at this, which I shouldn't be, but like 75 missed messages in 20 minutes, man. Like it just keeps happening.
Totally.
But that's okay. And a lot of missed phone calls. I'll call back later. So you guys are 66 years in as of now. That's crazy. What's like the biggest challenge you guys face as a business right now? Is it scaling, expanding? You trying to take it easy? What's going on?
The biggest thing that we've faced like right now as a business, I would say particular to our agency, we're going to have some hiring coming up, and I know that that's tough sometimes finding the right people for the seat. So that's certainly a challenge that we'll have coming up. On the insurance side of things, insurance right now is what they consider a hard or a tough market. So we're dealing a lot with carriers pulling back on stuff that they used to write, premiums going up, reshopping policies, underwriting guidelines are getting exorbitantly harder. Stuff that companies used to love to write, that was their bread and butter, maybe didn't perform so well in terms of losses. So now they're moving on from that. So it seems like, we don't ever just sell an insurance policy and move on from it. There's always some maintenance to it. But even more so now, you're kind of retouching clients a lot more than you were previously.
Yeah, interesting. So this is stuff that we don't think of as consumers is insurance companies write to them it's a block of business, right? And then if they get a bunch of claims, which is the reason we bought the insurance, then they just won't do it anymore.
Yeah, it seems, people always ask me, is insurance a scam? And no, I mean, it's there. It's got a purpose, and it's there to, for your financial well-being as well. But it comes down to having an agent that can help you navigate that. So, okay, let's look at this claim. Is this something that, should be turned in? Yes, it's a catastrophic claim. 100% we're turning this in. We're helping you out. Or, hey, had a fender bender in a parking lot, or I need my car towed. Okay, well, you've gotten 4 window claims already, and adding another towing claim, maybe we can figure out a way around that, or maybe we can advise you differently. You can use the insurance as much as you want, but to have an advisor to go to say, hey, look, I know I've been putting in some claims. Should I do that, or what's my ramifications? That's a huge thing.
Yeah, it might be cheaper just to pay for it.
Sometimes.
Then the premium going forward after your 9th claim on a window break somehow.
You nailed it, Dave. That's exactly right.
What's your record on claims right now?
Like how many claims I've seen?
Yeah.
The most claims that I think I saw, I believe somebody had, and it was a family of 4. There was about 15 claims in a year. All little window.
Was he doing playing baseball in front of the car or something?
I was like Crash Bandicoot was driving the car and just playing ping pong. I don't really know.
Yeah, he claiming everything. I should have keep it off the records, man.
That's the thing, right? Towing claims, flat tire, tow claim, window chip, window claim. Yeah.
Do you guys get a lot of call for flat tires?
Yeah. Believe it or not, we do. I'm always like, do you know how to change it yourself?
That's kind of where I was headed with that. I was with a group of guys on a trip. It was a work conference about 3 years ago, and we rented a car at the airport. We flew there from Rochester. Was in it. I think it was in Atlanta, wherever we were. We rented a car, and we were going to be late for this conference to start, and we got a flat tire on the way. It was about an hour drive. We were like an hour and 20 minutes away. Get a flat tire. The other 3 guys I'm with are just, they're financial advisors. I could pick on them, losing their mind. We're gonna be late. We're gonna be late. One guy, his answer was call 911. Another one's like, well, I have AAA, but I'm not the driver. I'm like, did it ever cross your mind to change the tire, guys? Like, there's a tire in the trunk.
For sure.
I was the youngest, and I was, 42 at the time. It's not like 18-year-olds, which, by the way, 18-year-olds, if you're listening to this, should know how to change a tire. Like, these guys had no clue.
Right.
I was shocked at call 911, call my AAA, and call my insurance company.
Yep.
I'm like, or we could just change the tire and be on time. Like, didn't cross their mind.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the way it is now. I feel like with everything, it's, what's the easy solution? Call somebody, call the number.
Yeah. It took 4, whatever. You guys get it. So we could change the subject on that. Yeah. So when you're doing, just because we're on the car thing, people think, and I mentioned this to you before, that like, okay, we're in New York State, we have to have insurance now. I remember when that changed. I think I was driving. It's like people actually didn't have to have insurance before. And then there was some year that changed. I don't remember when that was, but mandatory car insurance, and people were like up in arms about it. But when that changed, people just went and bought something. And it could be Geico. It could be I'm going online and doing this myself. What's the biggest mistake? So I go online, I do it myself. I'm a do-it-myself insurance guy. What's the biggest mistake you see with that?
That's a great question. The biggest mistake that I see from folks that go online and quote their own insurance, they go, in New York, you have to have a minimal set amount of liability, $25,000, $50,000, and $10,000 in property damage. That liability limit is what the minimum that you need to get your car on the road. Those limits are so small that you have one even decent claim and you're eating right through those limits. So the biggest thing that I see is folks go online, and the insurance industry has done that. They've made it kind of a commoditized thing. It's about a price. So you go on and, they might offer you all these extras, but you're just on there shopping for the price. So, I don't want towing. I don't want this. I don't want that. I want the lowest limit. And then, they get that policy, something happens, and they come to find out, I don't have the right coverage in place. I don't have, uninsured motorist coverage. I don't have the right liability coverage. I've done more than $10,000 in property damage. Now I'm paying out of my pocket because I went online, clicked a few buttons, got the lowest price, and I moved on. So that's the biggest thing that I see right now with people going online and buying.
I have so many questions about this, man. So, first of all, I can completely relate to that. There are a lot of folks that will go, and I'll just use like life insurance as an example. They'll go online, or better yet is my buddy. My buddy got a quote, right? Mm-hmm. Why does my friend only pays $30 a month for $1 million of insurance? And it's like, your friend is an ultra marathon runner who's 31 years old. You're 73 and you smoke 3 packs a day and drink 74 beers. I think the rate's going to be a little bit different.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah, exactly.
So for you, when you talk about like uninsured motorists, I'm making this up. Some guy from Florida drives up here, runs into my vehicle. He does not have insurance, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then my insurance might cover some of that if I have uninsured motorist coverage.
Yeah. So I'd have to get into the particular language of it, but it's called uninsured and underinsured motorists. So correct. Okay. If you were to get into an accident where, let's say I rear end you, I'm flying, I put my front of my car into the back of your trunk. Yeah. I have zero insurance. You can't recoup anything from me because I'm uninsured.
Yeah.
Your insurance company does have some coverage there for you to help, obviously get the car repaired.
Yeah.
Or, if you're unable to subrogate back or sue against the other person because they don't have an insurance policy. So those are things that are on a policy that people might not know about.
Interesting. What if you're really wealthy and you do that to me? Can I come after you personally? Would my insurance company go after you personally?
So yeah, that's where an umbrella policy would come in.
That's where I was headed with this whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I read your mind, man. I'll give you a prime example. Actually, I just got off the phone with my wife, and her uncle is an orthopedic surgeon, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he is an avid biker, high net worth individual.
Yep.
One day away from retiring, he's riding his bike. A lady in a van with children, probably distracted, pulls out in front of him. He crushed the car with his bike. Now has
is this a bicycle or a motorcycle?
Bicycle.
Okay.
Like without a motor. Yep. Pedal bike.
Yep.
And he has fractured every single one of his ribs, collapsed a lung, broke a collarbone, injured a hand. And this gentleman's an orthopedic surgeon, so he needs to be, he's a high net worth individual. Yeah, that claim will probably be fairly large, especially for the bodily injury piece. And he's in the hospital. If this lady doesn't have the right insurance in place, or if she doesn't have an umbrella to tap into that extra amount, you're coming after assets. They say you can dock pay and things like that, but they're going to probably do some type of an asset test if it becomes such a large claim to see where they can recuperate.
Jeez. So what? Okay. So I'm going to go way back to when you said 25,000, 50,000, and 10,000. Mm-hmm. I know what those are, but so that happens. This lady has 25, 50, and 10.
Yep.
How much money can that guy get from her insurance company?
Those are the limits. So that's all that could tap into.
So he could get $85,000 from the insurance company, and let's say it's $2 million for him to get fixed and better and lost and all the stuff. So the $2 million, I mean, will they literally like go after equity in her home? Will they?
It would.
It gets scary.
It does. It definitely gets scary. So, yeah, I mean, that is definitely a potential. You know, it'll come down to probably some type of a legal battle, and they'll probably, like I said, do some type of an asset test. And you know, if he's got a good lawyer, which you assume a doctor probably does, they're looking to recuperate as much as they can from your home, from your personal assets. Maybe you have a business that you haven't totally protected. So yeah, it can get ugly, and it can get ugly quick.
Yeah, and so. For that guy, it's almost like the business at the beginning. What happens in the meantime? So they have to go after this person to get a bunch of money that maybe she doesn't even have. Mm-hmm. How does his stuff get paid for? Does his insurance company front the money, or does he just have to figure it out?
So something on that his personal health insurance would probably kick in, you know, and cover like his medical bills and things like that. Okay. Since he wasn't in a vehicle, there's no insurance on, you know, maybe he's got the bike insurance, but there's no other vehicle of his involved. So yeah, basically I would imagine that just his personal health insurance would kick in, you know, and there'd be a record of all of his medical bills that then would get passed on to that person that hit him or pulled out in front of him.
What if she could never pay him?
That's a good question. You know, I've thought that a lot.
Company?
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot. You know, it's like getting blood from a stone.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. There probably is some type of court settlement that happens. But, you know, if you're just kind of scraping to get by and now you're involved in a $2 million lawsuit, you know, or is your pay docked for 10 years? I don't really know how that happens.
That's crazy. Well, and then what's her incentive to work?
Right.
Right? Like you go down that rabbit hole pretty deep.
Yeah, for sure.
That's interesting, man. So no fault of his own, runs into a van, could be out of money, getting blood from a stone. For her to save what? So let's say she was the person clicking online, $25, $50, $10,000 for coverage. For her to get an umbrella policy, and again, I know the numbers on this. I recommend umbrella policies all the time to our clients. It's a big thing because I've seen bad things happen, which this isn't my day. This is about you, so I won't get into the stories. But like for $1 million umbrella coverage for a normal person, what do those normally cost? Because people hear that and they're like, that must be like $5,000, $10,000 a year.
For $1 million umbrella, typically it's around $200 or so
per year.
Yeah. One time, you know, payment of $200, and you have an extra $1 million in liability that can protect you, and that sits over not just your home, but it's your home, your auto. You know, on the commercial side, if you've got a business, that sits over all of your buildings, your property. You know, literally an umbrella that sits over everything. Yeah.
I did a video on that. It actually was
smart.
It took off. That was a good one. People didn't know. Yeah, thanks, man. So.
Texting my wife saying, "Do we have an umbrella?"
Yeah. Do we have an umbrella policy? Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, we definitely do. We do. So the umbrella policy thing, like I've had friends who the Amazon driver slipped on their porch, and they are dealing with like this nagging. What's going to happen? Are these people coming after me? There's also a videotape of it actually not happening.
Oh.
So there's that. But they still have to deal with it. So that is something. Listen, if someone's listening to this podcast, them or their spouse probably orders, that's my catch-all, a lot from Amazon.
Yeah.
FedEx showing up all the time, all the things, right? Umbrella policies cover that happening, right? Or would that be a homeowner's thing?
Well, so your umbrella sits over your homeowner. So yeah, there would probably be, and every claim's different, right? You've got to kind of pick through what happened on the claim. But an incident like that, so maybe let's say that your friends didn't, they've got a front step that's got some concrete that's loose, and this dude slips, or steps up on the concrete, slips. Let's say he knocks his head or something. Yeah. There's a liability portion of your homeowner's policy that would go through first, probably.
Okay.
But again, let's say this dude's brain's bleeding, something happened, he's in ICU. Now you're racking up bills. If you have that umbrella, then you tap right into that, as you know.
Man, that's scary stuff. It's like, no wonder people are overinsured or think it's a scam.
Well, and the other, it's just claims are going more nuclear is what they're calling them. So the days of, I don't know if fair settlement is the right word, but you know, where it was like, okay, well, I had X amount of damage, you know, we're going to recuperate X amount in money. It's kind of gone out the window. You know, everybody's so inclined to call the personal injury attorney on TV to see how much money they can get. And then you wonder why your insurance rates go up.
Yeah. Hey, what was it? My case was worth $440,000, but they got me $8 million.
Correct.
Yeah, which that's a different story. I've actually done a podcast on that and how that money actually never shows up too. I had an attorney on to talk about that way back a couple of years ago. Which it was an interesting story on how they actually get that. And most of the time, those folks don't get that money. So you see they get $8 million. They usually don't get it.
It just goes back to like...
It's trying to get blood from a stone. That guy who got hit by the bike, if he was to get, or by the van, if he got $8 million from this person, she has no insurance, there's nowhere to get the $8 million from. The attorneys can still say, yeah, we settled for $8 million, but they didn't get the money.
I always wondered that.
Way more to it, but you see these giant settlements, and unless there's something behind it, it usually doesn't happen for those folks. So homeowners insurance, real quick. When you said like improve the kitchen, or obviously a pool is a large improvement, or let's say somebody remodels the inside of their house, you should review with an insurance agent to what do you do there? Like,
that's a good question.
Are you guessing at the value of replacement? Am I as a homeowner supposed to take pictures of these things to prove? Like, what should I do as a homeowner?
That's a great question. As a homeowner, if you were to add an addition, upgrade your kitchen, those types of things, taking a picture is actually not a bad idea. Some people will do like a yearly walkthrough video of their home just to kind of document things on the event that maybe there is some type of full loss. They've got some documentation. But, you know, if you upgrade your kitchen, the value of your home obviously is going to go up. If you add an addition onto your house, your square footage goes up. The value of your home goes up. The replacement cost to rebuild it goes up. So you want to make sure those things are keeping up with it. We have had an incident where there was folks redid their kitchen. They had a loss. They had a fire, took out most of their home. Home was considered a total loss, and there was squabbling over the value of the home. Ultimately, it ended up going to court. But we were never notified that, hey, I just put in a $60,000 kitchen. Unless you have that on your policy, you're kind of not aware.
Yearly video is a great idea as part of the process. Yep. So I wrote that down. We're going to do a yearly video from now on.
Yeah, yearly video.
Just quick walk through the house. Do that once a year. I'm making this up on July 1st. It takes 1.5 minutes. Unless your house is 17,000 square feet, that's different. But business would be different, right? Should business owners do the same thing?
It's always good
facility
to keep. It's probably good to always have some type of a record. I know. Yeah. Probably it's not like feasible to do that all the time, but anything that you have that can help build your case. I'll give you an example. I had wrote a company that's out in Sodus. They've got these really cool tree houses that they've got rented, and it's a beautiful piece of property. And the gentleman there was extremely handy, knew how to build this building at a certain cost. Well, the insurance company comes in and they say, no way, that thing's worth like $100,000, because so he had documentation on how he built it, all the materials and stuff that he got. We went back to the insurance company, said, hey, really, you could rebuild this for $40,000. They said, yep, there's your documentation. They lowered the premium back down, insured it for the value that both him and the insurance company agreed on, and they moved on. But because he had the proof.
Well, and you guys. Yeah. I'm not picking on Geico, but like some person at a call center is not going to handle that for them.
Right. Yeah. And that's where it comes back to having an agent that you can call and be like, hey, man, this is what's going on. We do that with audits. I just worked with a gas station. So their gas is on consignment, so it shouldn't be considered their income. But on the audit, the insurance company looked like they had made X amount more money. So he got hit with a $7,000 audit, and he's calling me saying, hey, this isn't right. What's going on here? So gave me the documentation, sent it back into the insurance company. I called him yesterday. It's rare that we can make like a good call. I call him like, hey, you're getting $1,500 back. He's like, holy. He's like, thank you. This is great. I appreciate that. But, maybe, again, if you call a big box type store, you just go through the 1-800 number and voicemail hell, and then maybe someone gets back to you. I don't know.
Well, it seems like they're not on your side. I've dealt with it before.
You're right. Yeah.
Dealt with it. It's like adversarial rather than like help me out.
For sure, man.
So you guys, if I were looking for new insurance as let's do a consumer first and then a business owner second. If I'm just a normal person with a house and some stuff going on, what questions should I ask my insurance person?
That's a great question. If you have like your own personal insurances with your insurance agent, some of the questions that I would ask them are,
or I'm looking for one,
or if you're looking for an insurance agent,
let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah, I'm looking for some new insurance. What should I ask you?
Yeah, absolutely. You would want to know if they're an independent broker like we are. So if they can shop the market for you, which is always an advantage because we're not pigeonholed into just putting it with one company, or if they're a captive, like a Allstate or State Farm, where they only have one place that they can go. Then you might want to ask, about, get their recommendation on, do a little research ahead of time maybe, and then get their recommendation on what they would recommend you have. Yeah. And then you can kind of make a judgment call on if this person is, savvy in what they're doing. Some things that some people maybe don't think about is, what's your support staff like at the office? When I call, do I call you, the agent, right away? Or is there a 1-800 number? I think people really like to make one phone call. Somebody picks up and can answer the question. That might be something that somebody doesn't always think about. If their support staff, is my policy handled by one person, or do I have a general inbox that I call?
You could also call, like, if I work with an independent person, which I want to ask you more about, because huge fan, by the way. Yeah, same thing in our world.
Yeah.
You write me a policy through, name a company that you guys are using right now.
New York Central Mutual.
Okay, so I have a policy I could call them directly as well.
You can. Yep. You always were, and we don't charge to be the broker, by the way. There's no fee to use an independent broker.
Yep.
We have agreements, with our companies and payment and so on. But yeah, you can always call the insurance company directly. Miss a bill, you need to make payment, you can call us, you can call the insurance company. Again, we pick up the phone right away.
Yeah.
Calling the company might, go through. Yeah, push one for this, push two for that. Yeah.
Well, your dad's answering the phone in the middle of the night for a fire. So Brian guarantees, folks, it'll answer the phone at any time, anywhere, any place.
Yeah, don't put that, Steve. Cut that one out. Yeah, right.
No way. Do not edit that.
I need a life.
I love it.
Anywhere.
Love it. So the independent part of it is that's a big thing in our world too, because, and I don't know if it works this way for you, but in our world, if someone is captive, so they work at XYZ Mutual, and I'm an advisor at XYZ Mutual. Many times I have to sell a certain amount of their stuff to a client who's looking for financial planning. And this is where a fiduciary standard comes in, right? So maybe XYZ is okay for this client. Like, let's say Brian needs life insurance. XYZ is okay, but I get stock options and bonuses and trips, and I get recognized, and I might even get a higher payout on the rest of my business because I wrote XYZ's life insurance. But it's okay for you. It's not the best. ABC is way better for you, but I don't get any of that recognition, and I don't win stock options and bonuses and trips, and there's no higher payout on that business. Clients do not know that.
No.
So when you talk about independent, I don't know if it's the same in your world. That's what we talk about. Like first thing, are they an independent fiduciary advisor? If they are, they can give you ABC or XYZ in most cases at no extra cost, and they have to act in your best interest rather than trying to win themselves a trip because we want to be cool 25-year-old salespeople, right? Is that the same like with you guys? When you say independent, that means you can use all of the different companies. So I know for us, and then I want you to answer, like if you wanted, I just keep using life insurance because we're talking about insurance. You want life insurance, we send it out, I don't know, a couple hundred companies will get back to us, and we could pick the ones with the best rating. The cost has to be competitive, which, by the way, and I don't know if we even have time to get into this, like people go by the cost first. And it's like, listen, if this one's $38 and this one's $40, but the 40 is an A-rated company and you can convert your policy at any time and there's other features and benefits and they're actually going to be in business, they're not going to sell your insurance 27 times, I'll pay the $2 a month.
Right, yeah.
But the independent world is allowed to quote that out amongst everybody, get the information back, and then give it to the client at no extra cost. So in that case that I just gave, the $38 or $40, if the client went directly themselves, it's still going to be $38 or $40. It's just they have us to help them. It's probably the same for you guys, right?
You nailed it. I mean, our model is exactly the same. No, man, you nailed it. That's exactly right. And it's the same type of independent model. We're not tied to just writing one policy with one, with one carrier. So yeah, we have options to go and shop it out for you. We do get incentives and things from different companies, but we never, it very rarely steers us in the wrong direction, in terms of like, well, I'm going to put you here because it's more expensive because I get some type of perk. We always try to do what's best for you as the client. And sometimes I'll give you some options, right? So like, here's your policy if you're budget conscious, or, here's a policy that we would recommend that gives you the coverages that you need, and then kind of help make some decisions from there. It's all education. I'm sure you do the same thing you're doing now, like all the videos you produce. A lot of it is education, because as you were saying, the consumer has no idea what an independent agent is. A lot of times they come to me and they're like, I'm not working with you. You're going to charge me $100 fee. That's not true.
Yeah, it's not like it's we're getting like landscaping quotes right now, and it's like, all right, this one's $7,500 and this one's $3,000. It's not like getting landscape. It's two totally different. It's different things going on. It's there are pros and cons to each of those, and it's very hard to describe to people. But so if you could talk to the person that logged online and they say, hey, it's $80 a month through them and it's $110 through you guys, why would I ever go with you guys? Like, I have a totally loaded answer for you guys on this, but like, what would you say to those people?
One, if somebody were to go online and get a cheaper quote and then I'm giving them something that's a little bit more expensive, I would say, can you call that person? Can you call the gecko lizard and ask them questions? Yeah. Did they who reviewed that coverage with you? Do you have an understanding of what you're being covered on? Yep. I'll give them some real world scenarios. Hey, what if this were to happen? Where would that money come from? Just kind of start asking some prodding or leading questions, and then hopefully they kind of come to the realization like, okay, this is more money, but it's got a person attached to it that I can call, and it's got the right coverage for me.
I think the right coverage was the key.
Yeah,
the person to call is a bonus, but the right coverage, if you have, what do we say, 25, 50, and 10, and you need, I don't even know what the numbers would be, man. Let's just 10x that, 250, 500, and 100.
Yep.
People don't even know that's why it's more expensive.
Yep.
So it's not the same thing. It's not apples to apples. So when folks are doing their insurances, they need to know, like, pure apples to apples, they're all going to be about the same. Mm-hmm. And you can have an agent.
Right.
But the agent typically is trying to act in your best interest and do the right thing. Therefore, it's more expensive. Because you're picking the minimum when you're doing it yourself, or somebody that's meeting with somebody that might be new, or they don't know what they're doing yet, or they're just trying to make a sale, where you guys are going to walk them through and do the right thing, which by default will probably be more expensive.
For sure, right? Absolutely. And I think people take a look at it, it's like, oh, I'm going from $25,000 to $250,000. That's going to cost me thousands of dollars. And in reality, it doesn't. I mean, the jump is so minimal that, if you break it down, it makes all the sense in the world. It could be a coffee a day that you don't buy or something and you have X amount more coverage.
Well, the $1 million umbrella.
Yeah, right. Good example.
Who could not benefit from? I mean, there's obviously people that wouldn't benefit from that, but like for $200 a year, go get $1 million of coverage. That's crazy not to.
For sure, yeah.
And just the stuff that I've seen, and I'm not like trying to be the cheesy insurance guy, and I don't even do that stuff. But like, folks, if you're listening to this and you don't have an umbrella policy, please go buy one.
Yeah.
There's our commercial, Brian. Call him. He probably doesn't even want to do all those, right? Like, he's gonna get 900 calls on $200 umbrella policies. But it is true. It's it won't hurt.
Correct. Yeah.
What's the largest umbrella policy that you've seen?
The largest umbrella policy that I've seen on the commercial side was a $10 million umbrella.
10 million?
Yeah.
Are there has to be ones that are huge, and then they probably get multiple companies involved, right?
Yeah, it becomes tricky because, and I'm sure there's much larger umbrellas out there that we're not in that space. Yeah. But the umbrella company, if it's not the same company that wrote all the underlying policies, typically if it's like a different company and they're like putting, they're insuring over these other policies, they need to, those policies need to meet like certain financial ratings. Yep. They might not write over somebody else's company. So there's a whole thing to it, but yeah. Was that your question? I hit the mic and it screwed me up.
No, you're good. I'm always just thinking like extreme examples, because those are the questions if I'm listening, that's the stuff I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Like, so like a $10 million umbrella policy, what's the cost for that?
On the commercial side, I believe for a 10 million umbrella, the person was paying like $6,500 maybe.
For 10 million.
Yeah.
And it's coming from the business, which is deductible.
Well, sure. Yeah. There you go. Yep.
So in a high tax bracket, they're paying about $4,000, $3,500 a year for 10 million of coverage. Mm-hmm. All right. Those are the people I want to call Brian after this.
Yes, please.
Those ones, yeah. All right, man. Last question. I'll let you go because we're running out of time here, and I appreciate your time. Where do you see insurance? It can go anywhere. Where do you see it headed in the next 5 to 10 years? We got AI stuff coming out. We've got people suing for the maximum dollars. Is it going to cost all of us tremendously more money? You can answer that any way you want to, but there's 3 ideas.
No, yeah, you nailed it. Insurance is moving in the next probably 5 to 10 years. Definitely, it's already AI integrated. Where I see personal lines insurance, like your auto insurance and stuff, that's going to become more of a commodity kind of deal. So there'll be algorithms and models that can help you price stuff and get coverages that are right. The other thing is with like self-driving cars and vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think the insurance market's caught up to that yet because who's liable, right? Okay, I own the car, but I didn't drive the vehicle. So is XYZ company that made my vehicle crash, are they liable? So there's going to be some probably rules and regulations that change throughout all that. But they're already using AI models for like aerial imaging of people's homes to see if there's roof damage, which is a blessing and a curse because if it was just a rainstorm and the AI model looks at the roof, obviously there's some dark spots on there. They might think that that's like an uninsurable roof when in reality it was just some rain. So I think that there's always going to have to be some type of human element involved because the AI models, sometimes they can't, if it doesn't fit in the little box, they can't think outside of that.
Yeah.
But it'll go definitely more AI integrated. You'll see, you'll probably see like the quote your own insurance type policies become probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
But you can't take the human aspect out of it yet.
Even the people choosing. So if I went on and got my own quote and it's an AI tool and I enter some financial figures and they give me a recommendation and I still choose the cheapest policy.
Right.
There's no recommendation happening.
Right.
I mean, it could even pop up, folks, and say, no, we really recommend you get this based on your financial situation.
Yep.
People will still pick the cheapest one.
For sure.
So
for sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting. And like you said, the nuclear claims are just, everybody I think now is conditioned to get the most that they can. Like we were talking about on the TV, mine was 40,000. Now I got 8 million. Yeah. It's an interesting time. It racks my brain just thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, you guys are going to I think you'll become more important because of it.
For sure.
You're going to need more help. People are going to wonder what's going on. We can't go right to Elon Musk and sue him for self-driving accidents.
Yep.
Maybe we can. I don't know. Figure that one out. Poor Elon. But so if folks want to meet with you to ask you questions about this stuff or get a hold of any of the guys at the agency or any of the folks that you work with, how do they do that?
To get a hold of us, if you wanted to work with any of us, you can call our Macedon office at 315-986-4062. You can always email me directly. It's Brian, Brian, at jdchapmaninc.com. We have a website that has a request to quote or contact us. It's just jdchapmaninc.com. You can go there. You can always stop into either our Macedon location on Main Street or our Canandaigua location anytime, and someone can help you out.
Awesome, man. Listen, appreciate the time. Our time is up today. I know you're busy, so we will talk soon. Folks, make it a great day.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Sweet. Go, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Dear Rochester Retire Well podcast. The information represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of SixPoint Financial Partners. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.